Hi there, my name is Aaron, and welcome to the Call to Cinema. And today we're looking at the Columbia Classics Volume 4 4K collection. And it, my friends, is a glorious thing. We're going to do an overview of it, look at special features. I'm going to give you my thoughts on each of the discs, and just a little breakdown on Columbia itself. Columbia Pictures is at 100 years right now. In a way, it's even longer than that. It's really at 105. See, in June 19th of 1918, it started as Brant Cohen Productions. But in January 10th of 1924, it became what's known as Columbia Pictures. And thanks to a buyout from Sony in 1989, it is what it is today. So many classic films have come through the Columbia Studios, and Sony has been putting out these amazing box sets, and we haven't had a bad one so far. We've had Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and we're now up to the fourth 4K set for the Columbia Classics. Will the fourth one live up to the high and lofty goals of the first three that went ahead of it? What's different in this one? What are the features? What's new? And did we really get a classic 80s TV show complete series on 4K? Well, we'll answer all those questions and a few more right here in the Call to Cinema. Let's take a look at the Columbia Classics collection here. The 4K Ultra HD Volume 4, now coming in glorious green. That's the color for this one. There are 6 films in total, which we'll go through. We can see it opened up here, the book, and we'll see all 6 films as they slide out. The North American editions have slipcovers. The UK editions do not. So let's dive in. And here we can see it from the back. So I want to kind of like just spread it out so you can actually see what it looks like from there as well. So you can probably guess what some of the titles are. You can freeze if you want to, but we'll go through each and every one of these here. Here's the book, which we will go into a little bit more. I'll show you a little bit more of the book. We start off with His Girl Friday here, which has a wonderful slipcover, sticking with the green motif. Love this film. And here it is, sans the slipcover. You can see on here the front and the back of it. Don't worry, you will get to see the special features. Here they are right here. And what we've done is we've highlighted the new ones, the screwball style and the breaking the sound barrier. There's a ton of features on this here release. Next up is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Again, we've got a wonderful green slip for this one here as well. Here's the 4K under the slip, and we'll of course look at the back of it, and we'll look into the special features. Feel free to freeze these at any time, but I'll dive into and speak about these here a bit more a little bit later, especially the newer ones. The third film in the set is the Fantastic Kramer versus Kramer. This is a favorite of mine from my childhood, and I remember watching this on my birthday. Here's the inside. There's the artwork that I know well, and we can see the back of it here. And again, we'll dive into the special features here, including a brand new audio commentary and 5 never-before-seen deleted scenes, which we'll actually talk about. It's really nice to see some extras on there. Starman is a favorite of mine. Now, this one has something special, which we're going to talk about later as well. And we can see the inside. I love the slips. I really, really do, actually. And here's the features, not including one extra special feature, which we'll talk about. But it's such a good set. We got Sleeps in Seattle next, and you're seeing a theme here of like kind of romantic pictures, and one that's sort of a romantic picture in a different way, which we'll get to. And we have all the features here for Sleeps in Seattle. So it's a breakdown of everything here. I took all this right off the Sony website because I wanted to make sure we got everything 100% correct here. And here we go, the anti-rom-com, right? Punch Drunk Love with Paul Thomas Anderson. Adam Sandler, for me, it's his best work, right next to Uncut Gems. And let's look at those special features here as well before we dive into the review. Here's a quick look at the Columbia Classics hardcover book. It's a 80-page book, and you will be able to see some of the pictures here. Just going to take a quick look because this is something that I don't want to spoil too much for you. I want you to be able to see it yourself. But there's some wonderful pictures, some wonderful write-ups. Here with His Girl Friday, we get a beautiful 4K restoration of the film. It's the lesser of all the films on here, and that being said, it is still an amazing looking, incredible upgrade from what we've seen of this film before. It does not get a Dolby Atmos track. It does get a mono, but it is lossless audio, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. I wondered how this would go with an Atmos track, but I'm kind of glad, and I kind of don't think you could have because of the age of the way when it was done. Now, as for the other films, we'll dive right in to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which looks incredible. It's the best I've ever seen this movie look. The Again, this is the first one was in black and white. This is is our first one here in color. It is and it just looks stunning. The levels of detail here are amazing. This one does have a wonderful Dolby Atmos track, which really benefits this film, and I super enjoyed it. For Kramer versus Kramer, again, it is another really great, really well done film. It benefits Holly from this upgrade. You can tell from the details, the clarity. It just looks great. It does again have a Dolby Atmos track, and again, these aren't like films that are action heavy. So there's not this is not Mad Max. So it's gonna play well, but it's gonna be like a little bit more understated as opposed to something that you would see if we're watching Masters of the Universe, for instance. You're not gonna get those booming, but it's nice to have that sense of clarity there. Now, where we really get a big uptick is when we get to Starman. Starman looks fantastic. It is, I think, in my opinion, the best looking one in this entire set. It just looks incredible. The sound on this one is fantastic. Again, it is a Dolby Atmos. This one is the most. If there's any action sequences, it's in this film. This is a film that's going to have that. But it's a really nice mix. I like the way that it was done, and we followed up with the Sleepless in Seattle. Seattle again, we get a really it's a '90s film. We get a great mix there. It's another fantastic 4K release, another Dolby Atmos. Uh, does the best you can with the Dolby Atmos for this one right here because it's Sleepless in Seattle. There's not a lot of like really big like, kind of like booming sounds, but it does provide a clarity that you haven't gotten before. And Punch Struck Love is probably the second best looking one in this entire set. Not my favorite film out of all these. We'll go through that when I go to the review portion of the film. But I did enjoy this Paul Thomas Anderson film more than I did previously. This one, of course, again does have the Dolby Atmos track, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. But what do I think of the films overall? Well, let's get to the review next. Looks like I have a co-host hiding in my back right there. To start off with, we have His Girl Friday, which of course is a remake of the movie The Front Page, which in itself is a adaptation of the stage play. We have Rosalind Russell and Cary Grant, who are exes. Rosalind Russell is about to get remarried. Cary Grant seems to not quite be over her. They are both like massive workaholics. Then suddenly, this big story happens that keeps her from getting to the marriage and brings her into this like level of excitement and fun. It's a real screwball comedy. It's exactly what you think about. There's the snappy banner, the fast talk. It goes extremely well, extremely fast. Rosalind Russell and Cary Grant, looks even Mr. Grizu agrees. Have extremely great chemistry, and you are going to enjoy the hell of this film. It's one of my favorites on this set. I will rank them after we do go through the reviews here, though. What do you think? You like it? All right, there we go. Mr. Grizu agrees. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was a 1967 film with Sidney Poitier that deals with, at the time, kind of the racial issues between interracial marriage. It's a fantastic film. Hepburn won an Oscar for this. All in all, the film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, and it deserved absolutely every single one of them. This is an engaging film from beginning to end without one boring or slow minute. Who stands out to me really, I love Spencer Tracy in this. I think Spencer Tracy is so good in this. Hepburn deserved the Oscar, but Tracy too is just kills it in this film. Everybody's on point, and if you've never seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, um, let this be something, because this will be dinner conversation after you watch it for sure. I would love to say that since 1967, so much has changed, but unfortunately, still, it examined basically the prejudice that society had back then, and it still is examining that right now today. So, landmark film and a fantastic one. Here's a personal favorite of mine, and it is 1979's Kramer versus Kramer, starring Dustin Hoffman and the one from Meryl Streep. What's really fantastic about this film is it is diving into it's very topical in that we have Dustin Hoffman, who plays this, again, this workaholic character. He works in advertising, and that work tends to be his life. Comes home at the beginning of the film after a long day, and basically his wife decides that she's leaving their 6-year-old son with him. She's going to go on her own, and she needs to figure out exactly who she is, because and her thoughts are that she's been living her entire life through him and hasn't had the chance to find out exactly who she is, and she wants to do that now. Of course, it's going to come back to a court battle later on, and it doesn't give a clear. There's no like, okay, this is a clear villain or anything like that. Everybody has a reasoning for doing what they do, and of course, there's you're kind of behind Ted Kramer because you're following his journey. But it's such a magnificent film and it is so well done. I remember watching this before VHS, actually, on CED, and it was on my birthday. I'm actually a child of divorce. I got two wonderfully happily divorced parents, and this was a film that definitely stood out for me. I uh, I watched this, and this will be one that I'll say it'll probably be the most rewatched one in this collection, and that's saying something, because we have some wonderful films there. 1984 Starman, directed by John Carpenter and starring Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen, celebrates its 40th anniversary. Oh my God, am I that old? Because I saw this movie in theater. It is just a wonderfully beautiful, underrated, overlooked Carpenter film. Just shows how much he can do when he goes into different genres. This is a wonderfully magnificent film, and if you've never seen it, you are in for a treat. If you have seen it, man, this 4K disc, as mentioned in the tech aspect of it earlier, looks beautiful. But they didn't stop there, and this is where we talk about the other aspect of it. See, Starman had a series with Robert Hayes and Christopher Barnes, and yes, that is Christopher Daniel Barnes, the guy that did the voice for Spider-Man in the '90s TV series. So it lasted for one season. Was in 1986. I remember because I was a kid watching it back then, and it is included with the Starman movie on two 4K discs. So it's 22 episodes on 4K. It looks great. It's in its original aspect ratio. All 22 episodes are there uncut, and if there's any spot where it kind of looks like a little bit softer, a little bit weaker, I find that you'll find sometimes with certain that the titles, like the titles will be a little bit softer. But overall, I was really amazed by how good this looked, and it was quite an improvement over the original like DVD edition that came out. I have that as well. But Starman the film is an absolute must, and probably the film that I'll watch if second most. It's right up there with Kramer versus Kramer. I'll go back and forth on these two because these are great, and already watched the entire 22 episodes of Starman. While I watch it again, yes, I love Robert Hayes in this role, and his chemistry with Christopher Daniel Barnes is absolutely fantastic. So, and when you're watching it, listen for that Spider-Man voice. Fantastic film and such a treat to see it here. Next up, we have Sleepless in Seattle, the 1993 romantic comedy that ends where most romantic comedies start. It has two magnetically fantastic leads in Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, who are at the top of their game at this point, and Meg Ryan is Meg Ryan. She can do no wrong when it comes to this type of stuff. Like When Harry Met Sally, Sleeps in Seattle is a much different film than that one, but one that I adore, and I think I've grown to adore more in this watching than I'd ever had before, and appreciate it in a completely different way. And I think part of that is because I'm watching all these films that are using romance and relationships and love in different aspects. It's a very cleverly curated and put together set, which we will talk about after we get through the extras portion of this as well. But Sleep in Seattle is a fantastic film, and if you have never seen this movie, I really want to know what you think once you've seen it, because it does a different. It's like I say, if Christopher Nolan made a rom com, it could kind of work like this, because it does play around with the conventions a bit and kind of like the timing of where the rom com should start and where rom com should end. So it's one again that I absolutely adore. I had never sat down and watched to completion Punch Drunk Love before this review. The 2002 film starring Adam Sandler and Emily Watson is referred to amongst most critics as kind of the anti rom com. It's different. We've got the guy that directed Boogie Nights making this film. And Adam Sandler was known for a very different style of film. And I think until like this film here, which it really changed what you could see him doing. And like his actual acting ability comes through in this movie here, and would show the actor that we would get for films like Uncut Gems. And this is more what I want to see from Sandler. Paul Thomas Anderson does a great job in this. If I was to say like to rank these, which I'm going to do in a second here right now, this is probably the least in the ranking, but not because of the film itself, just because each hits me in a different way, and again, I like this film a lot. I didn't think I was going to. I expected to kind of come into this one kind of laissez-faire, because I've tried to sit down and watch Punch Drunk Love before, and it's different when you're doing a review for something. When you're doing that, then you're going to watch it. You're going to watch it 2 or 3 times to get a good grasp of it. You can't just do a cursory watch. You've got to dive in deep, and I'm kind of interested in going back and rewatching this one again. It intrigued me a lot more than I thought it was going to, and I would love to hear your thoughts. And by the way, I would love to hear your rankings in the comment section down below, and how you would rank all 6 of these films. My rankings? Well, I'm going to give you that right now before we get into the extras. Diving into special features, we'll look at. I know people are going to ask about His Girl Friday and how do the extras go when it comes to the Criterion edition, which has a Blu-ray out there. This is of course 4K, so we get a visual upgrade here. There are some new features on here, though. We get, first off, we have, and I want to make sure I get this right, so I wrote all this down. Screwball Style, the iconic costumes of Robert Kulak, who was a famous costume designer. We get a second featurette there, basically about like the banter, the speech when it comes to screwball comedy. It's called Breaking the Speed Barrier, the dialogue of His Girl Friday. We got Jeremy Arnold doing the hosting for the second one, and Kimberly Truller doing the hosting for the kind of costumes. There's a bunch of features that are ported over from the Criterion release, and what we aren't getting, so what's missing, is the Lux Radio adaptions that were on the Criterion release. I think there's at least 1 or 2 of those. I don't have the Criterion release, so I had to go look it up. And sadly, we are missing the front page, because he did a nice restoration of the original film, the front page, which this film is based on. So I would like to see that get a release down the road, but it'd be nice to get a 4K release of the front page. But either way, it's definitely worth picking up. I think there's something else called Hawks on Hawks, so I haven't seen it. So I can't tell you like how long that is or how big of an interview um, that one is. But that one isn't on there either. But we do have the two new ones, and we get the commentary track there as well when it comes to this release. And it's actually a really kind of cool commentary track. That's the commentary track comes from the an earlier Sony release. That this commentary track was not included on the Criterion. Pretty sure it wasn't actually. Don't quote me on that. But if you got the Criterion Blu-ray release, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Overall, it's a fantastic bunch of features for this release. And let's dive into Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Because with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, we feature wise, well, on the first one we get the commentary, and the commentary is from the Twilight Time edition of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which I don't have, so I was actually kind of excited to get that. And the second disc has a whole bunch of kind of like smaller, shorter features that were done like a while back for like either the 40th or 50th anniversary. But I don't have either one of those. So I can't tell you what's what. I don't know if there's anything missing from any of the other archival releases, but there's a whole like ton of different stuff here. Um, my favorite overall, I don't know. I mean, it was interesting to see the introductions, um, but there's it's shorter. I guess is the way to put it. Like they do like this in HD, do it in HD, like Love Story Today. So that one works pretty good. And overall, I enjoy the features on this one here, but I haven't watched every single feature on this one. But I did go through like the display. You know, when you go through to each feature and go to display, overall, I think was like a shorter. There were shorter featurettes. With I think the longest one on disc two being the Blu-ray disc, being like maybe 30, 35 minutes long. Overall, there's some great features, and the commentary is definitely worth a listen to if you haven't checked that out. Next up is my one of my favorites here, which is Kramer versus Kramer. And again, I like this one. I'm biased for Kramer versus Kramer because it's a film from my childhood. First off is the best feature, and one of the best features aside from what's going to be on Starman in this throughout this entire thing here is the commentary, and it is fantastic. The thing is, the girl that does the commentary is a screenwriter. She teaches screenwriting, and she breaks down um, a whole, like the whole structure and screenwriting, and it's just it's a fascinating commentary if you ever wanted to get into film. It really is kind of like film school in a box with like Criterion. That's what it's like because she's a teacher. She teaches film. The other features on here are really good. I was a little bit disappointed that they only had the deleted scenes in black and white. The audio from the deleted scenes where it wasn't available anymore. I'm not sure if it was lost, if that track just got scrubbed somewhere along the way. But it's nice to see it overall. And of course, there's some other older featurettes there as well. But especially for me, the commentary is the key one when it comes to Kramer versus Kramer. On the second disc, you get around like a 55 minute long um, a making of. So definitely check that out. And let's dive straight into the one that a lot of you guys are going to be excited about. Let's talk Starman. Starman, yeah, like we've mentioned it, we've talked about it. I don't know how else to say this, but that TV series, man, that TV series, the whole series in 4K. The other features, they're shorter features. They're like some really kind of like smaller stuff. I think the longest like featurette on Starman runs like under 30 minutes long. Everything else is, there's little things that we see there. Of course, we get the wonderful John Carpenter, Jeff Bridges commentary um, that I think made it. I don't have the Shout Factory release of Starman. What I think was on the Shout Factory release. I know for the longest time, like we didn't have it over here, but if it was, let me know because I am not aware. But I loved the commentary because John Carpenter is so good, and the work between him and Bridges his is great. Like, come on, like John Carpenter and Kurt Russell do like the best when it comes to this. But I still think the commentary is really good on this one right here. But all about this is all about that TV series when it comes to features here. You're going to be watching it, and there's a lot of fun to be had with that. Next up, we got Punch Drunk Love by Paul Thomas Anderson. Feature wise on this one here, I guess overall I did kind of enjoy the features here. Again, like there was Criterion edition, Blu-ray edition of this one. I don't know if Criterion did a 4K of this one or not. I don't think they did. I think this is its first 4K release. But so we get like a bunch of things from the Criterion release here. There are a couple things that are missing from the Criterion release, and a couple interviews. But overall, we get a bunch of things kind of mixed over from archival features and the Criterion features. Some interesting features for Punch Drunk Love, but this being my first time I really got to sit down and watch it, I didn't dive into the features the way that I did with some of the other releases. Last but not least is The Wonderful Sleepless in Seattle, which starts off with that commentary by Nora and Delia Ephraim. And so that is good. I really like this commentary track, but I will preface it by saying it's one of those where when they're talking, it's interesting, but when they're not talking, you know, there's some spaces in between. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you start watching, you're talking about the making, you're excited about something, you're talking about an aspect of a film, and then suddenly you're watching and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing commentary. So that does happen on this here release. There are some extra features on here as well, not a ton. I'd say I'm not sure if there's anything that was missing from this. I know there was a Twilight Time release of this one. I didn't have that one, so for me, like every single one of these movies was a first time get. I think I used to have an old edition of His Girl Friday and I had a DVD back in the day of was it VHS? A DVD or VHS of Starman? I've never had like I actually had the TV series Starman from 1986 on DVD, but I before I had this series, the actual film Starman. Again, overall, some great features on here. Shining Star definitely is going to go to Starman. Wonderful commentaries on some of these, especially the early stuff like His Girl Friday. Has some great stuff. The new features on there are fantastic. Kramer versus Kramer's really got a really great commentary. The stuff from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is wonderful. The Punch Drunk Love and Sleeps in Seattle I like, but don't hit the same, doesn't resonate the same with me as some of the earlier ones. I've always put these in like order of of how I would rank them. And I guess in sixth place we're gonna put Punch Drunk Love. In fifth place is gonna go Sleeps in Seattle. In fourth place is this is where it gets hard. What do you because I love all the next films, the other films that are here. In fourth place we are going to Pod Kramer versus Kramer, even though I love it. In third place, it is going to be Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. In second place is Starman, and in first place, it's His Girl Friday. That's my personal like ranking for all the films, and hopefully we've gotten through and mentioned enough the features to whet your appetite. So should you buy this release? This was an easy yes for me. I loved the films on this set. 4 out of 6 of them I love particularly. Uh, Now, this was sent to me as a review copy from Sony, so I do want to be honest about that. But was I buying this anyway? Yes, I'd actually already ordered it when when I was when it was announced that I had a copy coming. So it got me going back, and I'm on the pickup for Volume 3 because I was already looking for Volume 3, um, and Volume 1 and 2 are to print. So I'm going to have to pay a probably a pretty penny for those, but I definitely want to have all 4 in my collection. I love the way that all of these were done. It's a very unique series of sets, and Sony is known for their restoration work, what they do when it comes to like the audio video. I talk about it all the time. It's almost kind of running joke is that it tends to be so good when it comes to the restoration. Where I do think this sometimes the kind of it made it be a letdown is in the extras. Not so in this. The extras in this are fantastic. The fact we got the entire series is there. If there's any one thing that I would have kind of almost nicked it for, it's I wanted the front page. I really wish that went on there, but not sure if there was a rights issue, if there was the ability to get it there. If there, I know there was a restoration for the front page done back in 2016. That was on the Criterion release. Did Criterion have they kind of lock in the rights to that so nobody else could use it? Either way, I think this is an absolutely fantastic one. What I'm curious about when it comes to anybody that's watching this review, and kudos for if you watch the entire thing, I really appreciate that, by the way, is what are your thoughts on them doing a themed box set? Because before Columbia Classics 4K sets were themed in the fact that they were Columbia Classics, they were 4K, and many of them were never on like 4K before. We got a whole bunch of new features on here. I think feature-wise, Volume 3 is still the winner for features. But I love the fact that they took the chance and took the risk to actually really theme this, because that could have went two ways. It could have if people weren't into like the whole like relationship and like kind of love, anti-love, whatever aspects of this film here, that could have like really been like really a negative. But there's enough variety in that, even with the themed aspect of it itself, like to get like Starman, and to get His Girl Friday, to get like some of the classic films. So who guess who's coming to dinner? Kramer versus Kramer. If you're like a '90s kid, then Sleep in Seattle is probably your jam. If you're a 2000s kid, and you're a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, you probably love Punch Drunk Love. But so much greatness in this set to have. I want to know your ranking of all six of these films. If you've picked it up, if you're going to pick it up, if I've changed your mind, and hopefully you've decided on picking it up. But either way, it's Call to Cinema approved. Thanks for watching. My name is Aaron. I'll see you here next time. And as always, watch some wonderful cinema and enjoy and celebrate 100 years of Columbia Pictures. See you soon.